If Donald Trump really created the Board of Peace to solve global conflicts, would it actually bring peace? Or would it mostly turn into political theater on a global scale? Because on paper, it sounds powerful. Single board led by the former US president, designed to step in where diplomacy fails and prevent wars before they explode. But in reality, peace is one of the hardest things to achieve in international politics, and history is full of grand peace plans that collapsed under real-world pressure. So in this video, I wanted to find out what artificial intelligence really thinks about this idea. Not emotionally, not politically, and not ideologically, but from a practical, real-world perspective. This is a brand new channel where I ask AI hard questions people are already debating and then break the answers down in simple everyday language. If you enjoy this type of content, subscribing really helps support the channel and lets YouTube know this is worth showing to more people. Now let's see what AI actually thinks about Trump's Board of Peace. Here is the exact prompt I used. Donald Trump created a Board of Peace in 2026 to solve global conflicts. Would it realistically bring peace or mostly create political theater? What is your overall opinion? Focus on credibility, trust, power, leverage, past diplomacy results, global rival reactions, and how peace efforts usually succeed or fail. Avoid technical jargon, politics, or emotional language, and finish with a clear overall judgment rather than a neutral "it depends." And this was the AI's response. Based on recent reporting, Donald Trump's Board of Peace is a real initiative launched in January 2026, initially framed around stabilizing Gaza, but rapidly expanded into a global conflict resolution body, with Trump as its permanent chairman and with memberships tied in a part to large financial contributions. While the stated goal is to bring peace, its structure, credibility, and international reception strongly suggests that it would produce far more political theater than durable conflict resolution. Right away, ChatGPT sets the tone. It acknowledges that this is a real initiative and explains how it really started with a narrow focus before quickly expanding into something global. But it immediately highlights three major issues: structure, credibility, and international reception. The key phrase here is far more political theater than durable conflict resolution. That's a strong judgment. What the AI is basically saying is that while the idea sounds ambitious and impressive, the way it is designed makes it more likely to generate headlines, media attention, and political signaling than actual long-term peace. It's already framing this not as a useless idea, but as something that looks powerful without necessarily having the tools or trust required to truly change global conflicts. For any peace mechanism to work, it must be trusted by all major sides, seen as neutral, and backed by broad international legitimacy. The Board of Peace struggles on all three fronts. Many traditional US allies, including major European states and Canada, have either declined to participate or expressed serious concerns, while participation has skewed towards countries with closer political alignment to Trump personally rather than broad geopolitical representation. This weakens trust among key global actors and signals that the body lacks the neutrality normally required for mediation in high-stakes conflicts. At the same time, Russia and China have shown hesitation or non-commitment, meaning the board does not include several of the most influential players whose cooperation is essential for resolving large-scale wars. This part is crucial. The AI explains that peace efforts only work when all major sides trust the mediator and believe the process is neutral. Without trust, negotiations became symbolic at best and manipulative at worst. The problem here is legitimacy. If Europe, Canada, Russia, and China are either skeptical or unwilling to fully participate, then the board simply doesn't represent the world's real power structure. And this is extremely important. Peace talk fails not because people don't want peace, but because they don't trust the process. If countries believe the board is politically biased and serves the interest of one side more than the others, they won't commit seriously. That alone dramatically lowers the chances of real success. Effective peace efforts also require leverage, economic pressure, security guarantees, or multilateral enforcement mechanisms. The Board of Peace lacks independent enforcement power and depends almost entirely on US political influence and Trump's personal diplomacy. History shows that peace processes succeed when they combine legitimacy, sustained engagement, credible incentives, and enforceable guarantees, as seen in examples like a Good Friday Agreement or the Dayton Accords. They tend to fail when driven by one dominant figure, when key stakeholders are excluded, or when institutions are built around personality rather than durable governance. The board's design, which centralizes authority heavily in Trump and allows membership to shape by financial contributions, undermines its long-term credibility and institutional stability. This section explains why personality-centered diplomacy almost always struggles. History shows that durable peace requires institutions, not individuals. When peace processes are tied too closely to one leader, one administration, or one political era, they tend to collapse when the leadership changes or loses influence. The AI is also pointing out that the enforcement matters. Without enforcement power, peace agreements rely almost entirely on goodwill, and goodwill disappears quickly when real interests are threatened. By tying leadership and influence so heavily to Trump personality, the Board of Peace becomes vulnerable to political cycles, credibility issues, and legitimacy problems that weaken its long-term effectiveness. Global reactions further reinforce skepticism. Many governments view the board as a parallel structure to the United Nations rather than a cooperative one, raising concerns about fragmentation of international diplomacy and reduced trust in existing frameworks. Instead of unifying global efforts, it risks deepening divisions, encouraging rival blocs, and turning peace initiatives into geopolitical signaling rather than genuine negotiation platforms. This is another very strong critic. Rather than strengthening existing diplomatic systems, the AI suggests that the board could weaken them. If countries start forming rival peace structures, diplomacy becomes fragmented. Instead of one global platform, you get competing systems, rival blocs, and conflicting strategies. That makes cooperation harder, not easier. In practice, that means more polarization, more strategic competition, and less trust. Exactly the opposite of what peace initiatives are supposed to achieve. Overall, while the Board of Peace may generate headlines, diplomatic activity, and short-term symbolic engagement, it is unlikely to deliver lasting global peace. Its limited trust, weak neutrality, narrow participation, and personality-centered structure make it far more likely to function as political theater than as an effective engine to conflict resolution. This is the AI's hilarious final judgment. It doesn't say the board is useless, it says it is more symbolic than functional. In simple terms, it may look impressive, sound powerful, and dominate news cycles, but when it comes to solving the world's hardest conflicts, it likely lacks the trust, structure, and authority required to create lasting results. That doesn't mean it won't influence diplomacy, it probably will, but influencing headlines and influencing outcomes are two very different things. So the overall takeaway here is simple. Peace isn't created by announcements, institutions, or powerful names. It's created through trust, legitimacy, enforcement, and cooperation between rivals who normally don't want to compromise. According to this AI analysis, Trump's Board of Peace struggles in exactly those areas, which makes it far more likely to generate political momentum and global attention than lasting peace agreements. That doesn't mean it's meaningless, but it does mean its real-world impact will likely fall far short of its ambition. And that's what this channel is about. Asking AI difficult questions and slowing down to understand what the response actually mean in the real world. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to subscribe. It helps the channel grow and allows me to keep producing content like this. And if there's a question you want the AI to answer next, let me know in the comments. I really appreciate that you've invested your time to watch this video. Until next time.